the Office of Policy and Global Issues in the European Affairs Bureau. Has been a diplomat for about 11 years. Has also served, right, Afghanistan, Pakistan. So we're very glad to have you here. This is a very diverse group of European mainly, and Dominican Republic, a couple of other non-Europeans here. Christians.
Also served in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's right, yes, that's right. So we're very glad to have you here, and we'd like to hear your views on religious freedom, and maybe have a little discussion. So, welcome.
Thanks. All right. Boy, I wasn't expecting kind of podium. I was expecting you all to sit around the table, but that's all right. I'm very pleased to meet with you all here and have a chance to talk with you a little bit about what's going on. This is a very busy time for us. Religious freedom right now is at the center of the policy discussion in the United States right now, with what is going on in Iraq with ISIL. Also, Syria is caught up in that as well, and it's focusing people's attention on issues that we've been talking about for years. The connection between violent extremism and the repression of basic rights, amongst them religious freedom. They have there, and it's our strong view, and I think it's held by everyone in the policy community, that the problems in Iraq right now can be traced to the repression of Sunni rights right now. The fact that ISIL has been able to receive far more support than they otherwise would have, because the Sunni community had not been given their basic rights. So we're can speak of any Muslims who are challenged in Muslims also in Sri Lanka. Conflict between Sunni and Shia Muslims in many places in the world, in which either the minorities or in some cases the majorities are threatened by those in power or are persecuted or are being denied basic rights and freedoms. We document all this in our earth reports, which I'm sure many of you have read, or at least read those parts of it that you are most interested in. It's quite a read to go through all of them. I confess that I did not read every single report. I missed Monica this year.
You're talking about the International Religious
The
Freedom
Religious Freedom Reports, which is our flagship kind of product that my office puts out, in which we document the status of religious freedom in every country in the world, 199 countries. Some of the sorts of reports are very short. There's not much going on, but in almost every country you can find some level of societal tensions, if not governmental restrictions on things. And then that moves up to the top countries in the world, which we consider, which we call countries of particular concern, of which there are currently 9. We have been 8 for several years, and we added a new one this year, Turkmenistan. Those countries in which we feel religious freedom is most at threat. It's not a particular surprise what those countries are. Most of you here could probably guess them from news reports off the top of your head. China, Burma, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, let me see, where are we at? North Korea, Sudan, and Eritrea are on our list. And there are many other countries in which the threat may not quite rise to that level. The Secretary of State has not determined that they're countries of particular concern, but which we follow very, very closely around the world. I could go through an entire litany of some of this, but I'd rather not. I would rather kind of open up and have a discussion and some back and forth. So you can tell me what your concerns are, because that's really the real reason I wanted to take this, was to hear from you and to be able to respond to your concerns rather than to lecture you on everything that we're doing and everything that is in the world. We put out our views in the Religious Freedom Report every year, and I do say you should look it up before particularly if you're interested in any particular country, as to what's going on there. It's, all due modesty aside, it is the best product in the world of its type. It's the only product in the world of its type. We're the only organization, the only country which documents religious freedom in every country of the world. And it's drawn on heavily by scholars and others interested in the issue as the premier product of its type, but we're always looking to improve. And how we improve is by getting information from people like you, who are traveling, who are aware of what's going on in your individual communities or in communities that you are in touch with in other countries, and can pass that information to us. So with that, I would like to throw it open. I'm not sure. Do you have an idea as to how you would like to structure this?
I think it's great. We can just take questions and have a little discussion. And you know, Molly is totally welcome to you know, add the whole European policy aspect to it, and whether religious freedom issues play any role in our relationship with Europe.
Absolutely. We work very closely with Brian's office on religious freedom issues across Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I can speak about the religious freedom issues in Europe generally, we're obviously not talking the same level of religious freedom issues as we are in South Central Asia or the Middle East or parts of the Far East, but no country's perfect. We're not allowed by law to write a report about the United States. If we did, we would document some religious freedom issues in the United States as well. And we do that for Europe as well. There are issues with particularly societal hostility towards Muslims in Europe, societal hostility towards Jews. We're very concerned with what we see as kind of a rising tide of anti-Semitism in Europe now that we are drawing some attention to, and trying to help our friends in Europe to address. You know, countries in Europe have generally been the governments in Europe have been on top of this issue and have spoken out against it. But we're eager to work with them and help them to do it. We have a special envoy for anti-Semitism, Ira Forman. It seems like he spends most of his time traveling around Europe, meeting with the Jewish community and meeting with others in government and society to deal with this issue.
A short question, I might have missed that as you have shared that you also have a religious freedom report of the United States of America, and this freedom of conscience included. As I've heard, that there were some discussions about the Obamacare law with people within their conscience. Is that in the content of the last report in the United States? Or?
As I think I was mentioning, we're actually forbidden by law from covering the United States. Because the State Department only covers the rest of the world. We would invite any other country in the world that would like to write a report on us. And we would love to see it and respond to it and address the issues that are raised in it. I'm not going to comment on domestic political issues. I don't really have the authority to do that in this, but I do admit that we are not free. Democracy is a messy business, and it's something that can't be static, and you're always looking to improve and finding your way forward and finding ways to do things better.
Is it possible that there's strong secularist thinking that speaks about human rights and be negative for religious freedom as well?
I think it doesn't have to be.
But is it possible?
I think there are times in which there has been some friction between a secularist point of view and freedom of religion. I can give a couple of examples, and they are drawn from Europe. When you talk about things such as the wearing of religious attire, the hijab, or the prayer cap for a Jew, or large crosses for Christians. We've spoken out and said that we believe that part of religious freedom is the ability to wear religious attire. Maybe that. Other examples I can think of are laws that have been passed relating to, or discussed and brought up related to circumcision, in which kind of the rights of the child are being balanced against religious freedom and rights of the parents. In the United States, kind of falls down that parents, that the government should not be telling parents what's best for their children, for the most part, and that the religious freedom of rights kind of trump what we don't see as a major violation of rights of the child. And ritual slaughter is another issue in which kind of animal rights is put up against what is considered a very important element of both Islam and Judaism.
Yes, well, you serve in the Dominican Republic, and you know our culture, that religion is very central to the culture and the mentality of the Dominican people. What happens with your office, International Religious Freedom Office, when the political activities of the ambassador of the United States promoting LGBT rights and encouraging liberal groups and secularist groups to say to the Christians and to the evangelicals and to the Catholics, stay in your churches, you don't have the right to speak when we are the majority. It's an attempt to our religious freedom and to our freedom of expression and freedom of conscience. What happens with your department when those activities clash with the religious feeling of the majority in a country?
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that a U.S. ambassador is not ever telling people in church that they can't speak about their religious beliefs. If they are, we'd certainly be happy to hear that information.
He's not telling that, but the groups he receives in his office, and when they finish their meetings, that's what they say after they get out of the offices.
Okay.
He doesn't speak, but those groups speak.
All right, well, we have a little less control over, obviously, what somebody else says coming out of it. We do not see a conflict between religious beliefs, deeply held religious beliefs, and basic respect for LGBT individuals during that. It is not our policy as a government to advance gay marriage, for example. What we are pushing for is basic respect for human dignity for every person in the world, regardless of whether they are straight or gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. They're all human beings and deserve respect. And that's what we're looking for, and we're, in fact, working very closely with religious leaders to get agreement on basic sets of principles on treating people with human dignity.
Just to take that up, but to remain with that LGBT issue, basic respect isn't the issue. The issue is hate speech laws or whatever. I mean, the idea is that, and then that would lead me to some of the actions of the EU, which are incompatible with freedom of religion, is they don't want basic respect. That will be granted and has been granted for a long time. They want to outlaw criticism of it, that is clearly just a voicing of an opinion or making a decision about, for example, whom you employ. So my question is, do you comment on some things that you see in the EU that may be happening here too? And the main issues here, which are incompatible with freedom of religion, are anti-discrimination laws, which prevent you from employing in your church whom you want to employ, and using the criteria which religions have always used. Hate speech laws, which prevent you very clearly from just uttering an opinion. That's not even freedom of religion, that's just uttering your opinion. And of course, gender mainstreaming comes in the other way. I mean, it's governing the other two fields too. If I may add one more point, that's homeschooling in Germany, for example. That's a clear persecution and also, I would say, a violation of, well, some rights. Question
your name and country. Your name and country.
Sorry, my name is Daniel von Wachter. I am German and I live in Liechtenstein. And in Liechtenstein there is freedom of religion and of also schooling, even written in the constitution, but in Germany it's not. So do you comment on these things too?
Certainly. Let me take it in reverse order. Actually, the homeschooling issue is one that we're starting to look at more carefully right now. I have a meeting coming up, I think in late October, with the Homeschool Association in the United States, which works very closely with those in Europe, and we want to learn more about restrictions and see how we can assist, how we can frame this issue in a helpful way and help out. The freedom of expression versus hate speech issue is complex, but it's one that we have a pretty clear position on. We are not in favor of most hate speech legislation, which we have seen, and we have openly condemned it. We do not believe that we should be muzzling people from speaking their devoutly held religious beliefs or even other beliefs. The United States, I think, is kind of at the extreme end of this spectrum as far as freedom of expression. We put it over just about everything else. And it even covers expression which others find repugnant or offensive. We say there's a right. You have a right to say repugnant, things that are repugnant or offensive to other people. And you have a right to respond. And that is the way that you deal with speech that you don't like. You respond to it. And whether we say bad speech, good speech, for example, even pro-Nazi speech, even things of that nature, we are not looking at it. The line is drawn on explicit calls for violence or calls for attacks. We would condemn anyone who called for, an example, an attack on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, or called for that nature. Is that clear enough?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. I have something with me. I will hand over to you. This is a message from.
Could you give your name and
sorry.
nationality?
Sorry. I should do that more often. My name is Johannes de Jong. I'm working for the Christian Political Foundation for Europe, and we are working closely together with the European Syriac Union, and we've written together with them a report on potential future for them in Iraq, and I would like to hand over that report to you, because it's not just my opinion, but it's a real advice. I help them to find their voice and guide them a little bit through the EU institutions, which is an interesting thing to do. I am just so grateful for your work on this issue, as I have, they became my friends, and you will understand what I mean. And so this is just, I'm just informing you that I have this with me, and I would like to give it to you.
Thank you very much. And I do appreciate kind of that. That's one of the entire bureau that I work for, the Human Rights Bureau, prides itself as being the voice for the voiceless. Those who are without power and persecuted everywhere in the world, be it for religious beliefs or other reasons during that. And it's something that always gives us great pride that we can do. And we welcome the contributions of others in the international community to do the same.
Yeah, I'm Anne Hinton. I'm from the University of Bremen in Germany. And I would like to pick up on the question that you already raised, and it probably goes to both of us. Has there been any cooperation by the Department of State with the European Union on issues of religious freedom, and how did that look like, and maybe you could tell us a bit about that?
Sure. Do you want to take first?
Why don't you take it and then I'll back you up on it.
All right. Yes, there has. In fact, this is something that is rapidly growing.
Okay,
Thank goodness. I think that European governments have perhaps been a little slower than we have to pick up on this as a significant human rights issue. They're making up for lost time. We are increasingly seeing in our European partners the establishments of offices or ambassadors or envoys similar to our own ambassador at large for international religious freedom. The Canadians actually have taken a leadership role in establishing the contact group for international religious freedom, which incorporates the EU itself and several of its member countries, with ourselves, Canada, a few other nations. And we're looking for considerable potential for joint action in areas of the world which we have shared interests and shared attention to the issues.
Yeah, just to pick up on that, I mean, we're adding sort of religious freedom discussions and issues of religious freedom into a lot of our engagement, not only with the EU, but also with the OSCE and the Council of Europe as well. And we had a DDC actually recently with the Council of Europe, OSCE, I'm mixing them up now. one of them, where we had a fairly extensive discussion about religious freedom issues in Europe. So it's an increasingly prominent and active part of our dialogue throughout Europe, both bilaterally with the individual countries and with the regional organizations in Europe.
One thing we're also helping governments in Europe work with is, part of this is coming because they have such a strong secularist tradition that we're helping them with training and how to discuss religion and foreign policy at the same time. Because some of they don't have the vocabulary, even for the background. So we're helping them to design their own training curriculum and identify it.
Do you mean you train diplomats from other
No.
countries?
We're just kind of sharing some of our training materials with them, discussing how to do it. I would love to have an international course here at our Foreign Service Institute. I haven't gotten authority to do it yet.
So diplomats of what countries would you give the first opportunity to?
I think probably drawing from the same contact group that I talked about. Those are the people I think are our closest allies on religious freedom issues.
Hi, my name is Susan Kerr and I work for Christian Solidarity Worldwide. And my question is, to what extent when you're talking with European countries, do you discuss the different models of secularism and the difference between, for example, the American model of secularism and the models present in democratic states?
We haven't gotten too deeply into that discussion with them, but we have touched the surface of it, more in kind of providing examples of how we deal with some of the more difficult issues like religious attire. We don't ever like to go in saying, well, this is the way we do it and it's the best and you have to do it the same way we do. We try to show respect for different traditions that people have, but we explain what our experience has been, why we think what we do works, and what the effects are.
Can I ask, have you seen an increase in cooperation since the guidelines came out last year?
I don't know if I would tie it directly to the guidelines, but I've definitely seen, I've been in this job for 15 months now. I've definitely seen an increase in interest and cooperation over that period.
Well, in Europe, we have a great difficulty. Oh, my name is Rocco Buttiglione. In Europe, we have a great difficulty in making use of one word, the word Christianophobia. Everybody speaks about Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, of course, or Judeophobia, which does not sound good, but they do it. But when you introduce in one document the word Christianophobia, everybody is afraid. Is it the same in the United States? 80% of the persecuted people for reasons of religion in the world today, at least according to our center in Vienna, are Christians. But the reaction of the Western country is weak. And very often they speak generally against the violation of human rights, the violation of religious rights, but not against the violation of rights of Christians. Why? If the rights of Jews or the rights of Muslims are attacked, they have no difficulty in calling the things by name. This is the first problem that we have. The second problem is the right of conscientious objection. It seems that you cannot be compelled to act against the conscience, and if the law of the state recognizes as a right to provide something as a service, that contradicts your conscience so that you don't feel able to cooperate with it, you should be allowed not to participate in the acts that produce this effect. How is it in the United States, and what is the position of your office on this? A third issue regards the concept of discrimination. Discrimination etymologically means to make distinctions, and there is therefore justified and an unjustified discrimination. If I do not allow a friend of mine with 5 foot tall to enter into a basketball team, I would think it is a justified discrimination. There are some good reasons to say it's not acceptable. But let us imagine that somebody says, I have a right of becoming a bishop of the Catholic Church, although I am homosexual. In that case, I would say, no, I would say, well, this runs against the model that we have of a man who can exercise the office of a bishop. So this is the third issue that stands on the central discussion in Europe today. How is it in these days?
All right, well, I'll try and take those. I think I'll take those in the order you stated them. Christianophobia, I'm personally of the opinion that labels are not always helpful in these types of things. And I'm not going to debate the number about 80% of the people being persecuted for religion are Christians in the world. We deliberately do not try to publish status and say, oh, you are the most persecuted, you are the least persecuted, things like that. We document persecution against everybody, against every group, be it from Christians, Jews, Muslims, Baha'i, Ahmadi Muslims, Jehovah's Witnesses, many other groups that are going there. And we don't think that it's particularly helpful to try to quantify and say, oh, you're more persecuted than somebody else. We just talk about the facts in each individual country and regional trends that we see. Usually the areas where we concentrate it is religious minorities that are the ones that are most persecuted. In countries in which a religion is the minority, there can still be. So I can give you an example, Shia Muslims in Bahrain, they're the majority, but the leadership is Sunni. And there are certainly issues in which kind of secular majorities or secular governments have taken decisions or have not treated. However, we are hopeful for Vietnam because they are a government that is at least willing to talk with us and engage with us seriously. So I am hopeful that Vietnam and Burma, I would add in this category, which still is a country of those are the two countries which we have targeted, in which, because of changes in those governments, more outreach to the West, more desire to be included in the international community, there is leverage. There is leverage which we intend to use. Cuba.
Yes.
Cuba has significant issues of religious freedom in that, which they share with most authoritarian regimes, in that they don't trust anybody they can't control, and that includes Christian churches and other religious groups. We don't think that the issues there rise to the level of country of particular concern, that they're in that next one or two tiers below that. Probably within Western Hemisphere, which generally has fewer religious freedom issues than anywhere in the world, Cuba is the most concerning, followed very closely by Venezuela, with a few other countries that have specific and important issues during that. So yeah, what most concerns us is the attempts to control religion there, attempts to intimidate religious leaders, all in the name of state security. The point which we make consistently, again, Cuba is also a country that doesn't listen to us a lot. And the point we consistently make is that, and we make this everywhere in the world, is that true security in the long term can only be found by granting people the rights to express themselves in many ways, including religious. When you deny these rights, you are creating a disaffected community, which is going to feed instability at some time. You've seen it in Iraq, you've seen it elsewhere in the world.
Yes, now that she mentioned Venezuela, I would like to hear the comments of your office regarding the situation of religion in Venezuela.
Mm-hmm. Well, Venezuela is perhaps Cuba light, on the same path that Cuba has. Again, this is a country which doesn't listen to us much during that, and it is one that perhaps our European allies can have more influence than we do in this situation. We are documenting kind of an increased, a significant and increased level of persecution, and again, it's for the same reasons, wanting to control thought, wanting to control opposition, and so forth, and not trusting that churches are not being political in their opposition. So yeah, we will continue to document what happens in Venezuela. Hopefully at some time in the future we will have more influence over what the government does.
Hopefully our next speaker will arrive. He hasn't arrived yet. We really appreciate your having to come. And, if you need to go, that would be absolutely fine. But if you can stay until our next speaker arrives, I'm sure,
I think I can probably stay for maybe 3 more questions at the most. I've actually got to get back and start preparing various people for testimony. Other questions?
Yeah, yes. Stefan Gilroyd, Konrad Adenauer Foundation. I had the privilege to spend my summer vacation in Florida until Wednesday last week. So since I'm a Roman Catholic, I attend a Roman Catholic Mass. And after service, those people handed out a leaflet about the things going on in the parish. And they prided themselves that they had raised during the services the weekend prior, $21,000. So I rang my mom back in Germany and asked her, what's our parish collecting? What's our gain, our benefit during our weekend services? And she said, right, and I should add that this is a Roman Catholic stronghold, about 500 euros if we are lucky. And I said, this is very interesting. Why is this church so packed here in Florida? Why is it not the case in Germany? Why don't we raise the same money for charity? And we've been in the Konrad Adenauer Foundation very active for a long time with the question and the issue why Europe, in comparison to all other continents, is losing ground when it comes to religion. Why religion is obviously gaining in importance in other continents, or at least maintaining the level, whilst in Europe this is not the case. So I'll be interested in your opinion. What does that do to society in general? How concerned are you with the particular situation within maybe the European Union or Europe as a whole?
Well, that's one that actually I have to put. As some representative of the United States government, we don't favor any one religion over another, so I can't say that we are concerned with, I would say that the United States and Europe have different histories, different cultures, but also that trends are not irreversible, and that that everybody recognizes the cultural impact that religion has had over the years. People argue about how positive or negative that cultural impact has been, but I think that's where the battle is for all religions that are looking to add membership, to be relevant in their societies, is to prove that relevance, to prove the positive impact that they have, to prove that they're relevant to the experiences, particularly of young people. And I think that is where all churches, mosques, synagogues, and so forth throughout the world are having trouble attracting people, is amongst young men and women, bringing them back into it. And that's the challenge that they all face. But like I say, we are forbidden by law to take any position or to discuss how or to promote any specific religion, or discuss how to promote it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.